So I know many of y'all probably already seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It came out like last year, right? But I had just watched it last night, and it put me on game for a lot of symbolism, a lot of spiritual symbolism in it. And as well as it just being, when you talk about the universe and you talk about a lot of cosmic things that is going on and how humans were created and different things like that, this movie will kind of put you on game or put you in a certain direction of understanding certain things, right? Let me give you an example. So you got this guy, right? You got the high evolutionary, right? And he was pretty much like a mad scientist who was, obviously he was stronger than most beings on the earth, but because he was smarter than them. But he was a mad scientist who wanted to create the perfect beings. Or you talk about fashion or make. I don't even want to say the word create, but we say create because create is grow. But to fashion or make a being, to be capable of having like a perfect being. So but we know that there's no perfect being. So he would go through so many different beings until he had Rocket Raccoon, and Rocket Raccoon had the science to be able to help him maintain a certain type of being that he wanted to create. But that being said, that guy would genetically engineer and fashion all type of beings. You talking about from humanoids, from animalistic humanoid beings that are vastly intelligent to as well as when you talk about robotic beings, as well as this guy right here who they title him. His name literally used to be him, but I'm talking about Adam Warlock, right? And basically in the movie, Adam Warlock was fashioned by the High Evolutionary and created by he created the sovereign race in the movie, right? But why am I telling y'all this? I'm about to tell y'all why this is. Because not every being that you see, especially on this list, these are real extraterrestrial beings in real life. Not every being you see is actually a what you would say is a was with a natural growth or creation of their natural planet or their natural state of being. By the way, I'm still learning more about all these different races. I know about the Anunnaki the most, obviously, because that one's the closest one to us, the Elohim. But and some of the reptilians in the Zeta Grey. But I'm still learning about some of these other races. So don't be asking me questions about these other motherfuckers yet. I'm still learning them. So the Earth was seeded by, a meteorite, right? That carried RNA and DNA and this is called panspermia. Look it up if you want to know. It's called panspermia. Like literally look it up. And this extraterrestrial DNA, or what you're talking about, is just DNA that comes in the form of germs, is put on the earth, and the earth through the water and germs and molecules, you'll build cell walls and other things like that. Which eventually you'll get a human. So what I'm saying is you have a natural growth, and then you have a growth that is produced by aliens taking the genetics and splicing it with their own DNA. And so if y'all want a full video on the Anunnaki and how they did that, I can tell y'all about that. But the Anunnaki, as well as the reptilians, have done this, and many other beings have done it. But especially these two, they always went to war, but especially these two, because the reptilians, they always spliced and got a Zeta Grey. There's different types of grays, but they always spliced and got a Zeta Grey. And they used Zeta Greys for work, for many different things. They needed beings that wasn't connected to their emotions like that, right? Then the Anunnaki, they created what you call Homo sapien, which is taking the Homo erectus, or the monkey man, which is basically every Earth has its evolutionary periods where they have to have a natural growth on the Earth and a natural ecosystem, because everything is like a chain and it all connects to each other. So everything is built for everything. So you will have natural animals and things and plants and different things that eat certain things and certain other things that do certain things to create a certain sustainable ecosystem. But they took the Anunnaki, they took the genomes, or took the Homo erectus, abducted it, took it to Mars on this place called, they took it to Mars on this lab called Shinti, right? But before that, you had the creation, part of the creation done by Mother Ninti, or by Nanar Sin, when you're talking about she is one of the Elohim that helped Enki actually fashion the being or make the being. But the being was in a when the being was made through, clay and certain other processes, which I can talk about if y'all want me to go deeper into that. But as the being was made through, the breath of the ruach, which is oxygen and different other forms of oxygen, as well as clay, as well as many other different elements and different things like that. Plus the combination of Homo erectus and their DNA, because we're made in. This is why the Bible says, "Well, made in their image." Then you have a human that is created. I know many of y'all is gonna be disagreeable on that topic, but that being said, it doesn't matter because human itself. Look up how closely related human DNA is to a monkey. Then what's the difference? The difference has to be the divine genome or the divine DNA and RNA that comes from the Anunnaki, because the Anunnakis are Elohim. They are in their etheric form. And they have a physical form as well, but in their etheric form, they're in a higher form than us, a higher phase of matter or a higher phase of energy, right? So, just that being said, that doesn't take away from the fact that we are still extraterrestrials. You have star seeds and all types of things, right? And that's what these are, star seeds too, because you still have souls that have been in other planets before this one that have came down into, this vessel, right? But when it comes to, the already existing hominid or already existing being that was on this planet, the being had to go through a certain process to be sped up by thousands and thousands of years. You feel me? So this is what happens with us, right? And with the human being, and while the human being is more advanced than your average, being, but we're still dumb because consciously we don't think about certain things, but we already have a certain advancement of ourselves and how we think and operate. And that's what these hands was used for, because you think about this, why do we really need the hand? And I'm gonna make it very simple. Why would we need the hand? Because the hand is used to work. You feel me? The hand is used to grab things, to move things. Because before, we could just use the mind. So why would we need a hand? Because they needed something to work. When you're in a physical space, you need a physical hand. You feel me? When you're in a physical space, you need something that can grab, that can move things around. And people say, oh, well, didn't they have the technology to, and this is where they tend to disagree. They say, well, didn't you have the technology to, what's the word? Well, couldn't they mind for go using spaceships and other things and other devices and things like that? Well, the thing is this. Yes, they could, right? But you also have to take into account for the fact that in the physical body, they didn't have access to everything they have in these other spaces. So when you're talking about physically, they needed help. They needed workers. They needed people who can help them, It wasn't no little amount of gold, yo. You know what I mean? It's like, it was millions and millions of gold. But why would they need the gold? The gold is electroconductive. The gold is monoatomic. It does many various different things, but it's especially good for the atmosphere or the ozone layer. That's why they needed it, because they have a tri-solar system, right? And so it's just these different, interpretations of what people think really happened. But in actuality, we all know that if you want to know how the origins of things are, you have to go back into knowing what science is. This is why you see me on multiple of my videos talking about non-ether gases and subatomic particles and your electromagnetism and all these different things, because you have to be able to understand that these are etheric beings. You feel me? But to come down in a physical space is something different. And to phase into physical matter is something that is above a lot of people's, mind to comprehend. So we leave it very basic, and we leave it at, the Anunnaki came looking for gold. Cause that's all people can really comprehend, is the Anunnaki came looking for gold. There's a lot of beings on this planet. looking for a lot of resources because there's multiple beings on this planet.